What's up, y'all? It's your girl Kennelia back for another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. First things first, keep liking, keep subscribing to the podcast on all apps where podcasts can be heard. I don't really got to tell y'all much more. Y'all been killing it. Y'all been doing y'all thing, liking, leaving 5 stars, rating, and leaving comments. Also, I've been uploading the podcast to YouTube. I'm going to try to do that. No, it's not visual. It's still the audio, but for some people, they be at work, at the desk, on their computer, and it may be more convenient for them to listen on that platform. So the podcast will be uploaded on YouTube so we can see what happens over there. But besides that, y'all been doing a great job. Thank y'all so much. All right, let's get into it. Did y'all watch the Janet Jackson documentary on Lifetime and A&E? Because you know I watched. I watched it. Y'all know I watched me some documentary on Janet Demita Jo Jackson. Y'all know I wasn't going to miss it. I had to borrow my daddy's cable to watch. That's how we own it. I was serious. Yo, let me get the login so I can watch the Janet Jackson documentary. Mainly because, one, I love me some Janet Jackson. Y'all know I love music. I love old music, old artists. But I love me some Janet Jackson. Always have. Always been a big fan of the Jackson family. Because I felt the same way about Michael. Okay? Michael Joseph was my guy. I loved everything about the documentary. And I'm going to walk and talk through some of the highlights and some of the points. And just have some straight up stan fangirl moments. Because we often forget our heroes. We forget people's legacy because it's not right in front of our faces. We're in a different time now where information comes and goes immediately, quickly. Songs and music is here today, literally gone tomorrow. We forget about it as quickly as it came about. But I am going to take this time to y'all, we gonna have us a Janet Jackson fest on the Black News podcast, okay? All right, so the Janet Jackson documentary, again, on Lifetime and A&E aired. It was a 2-night event. 2 nights. It was 2 episodes per night. So like a part 1, 2, 3, and 4. It went through her time growing up in Gary, Indiana, all the way to present day. Now, backstory, Janet and her family's from Gary, Indiana. I did not realize, I knew the Jacksons, it was a lot of them. I knew it. But when they were in that house in Gary, Indiana, and showing it and talking about all the kids, I really put it in perspective. Catherine had 9 kids, y'all. I'm talking about pumping out the babies. Exhausted. Okay? I'm sure sis was fatigued. I'm sure Mama Catherine was over it. But if she wouldn't have had all them kids, she wouldn't have literally birthed superstars. They discussed how when the Jackson 5 became the Jackson 5 and they started their Vegas residency, they then included Janet into that. So she was performing. They were doing live shows, 2 shows a night, for weeks at a time in Vegas, where mostly at that moment in time, it was all adult acts. They were the only kids act. But it really trained her and got her into the industry. They walked through her journey on Good Times. If y'all remember, she was on the episode of that stint. She had the story arc where she was getting burnt up by Kim Fields' mama. Y'all know Kim Fields' mama, the actress, was, Tootie. Y'all, I forgot. The Black News listeners, y'all probably ain't old enough for the Tootie reference. Child, Kim Fields' mama Fields, was an actress on Good Times and was the mother to Janet Jackson's character. Burnt her back up with the iron, honey. Tore her all up. Basically, kicking off her acting career. They then talked about how she was on Fame and wasn't really interested. That wasn't something that she wanted to do. Debbie Allen was talking on the documentary about that interaction and her on the show. Now, throughout the documentary, also had commentary from other people throughout her life that she's worked with in the business. Some family members as well. We had Debbie Allen. They even got Mariah Carey to talk. Now, y'all know Mariah be acting like she don't know nobody. Okay? When you get Mariah Carey to talk about you, you are the legend. But we'll get to, the legendary status. But I will say a lot of the documentary, it was stuff that I already knew. A lot of information that we've been kind of hearing in passing over the years, but maybe not directly from Janet. So it was nice to kind of get her real life and actual perspective about the situation. She discussed her relationship, her first marriage with James DeBarge. He is one of the older DeBarges, Elle's older brother. On her wedding night, when she was, I believe, only like 18, she got married in Grand Rapids, Michigan, y'all. And he left her in the hotel room to go get high. Ooh, Lord. But she talked about that relationship and then addressed the rumor of the secret baby. Now, if you're a Black News listener and you are old enough to actually remember Janet Jackson and her stardom, you remember there was always a conversation that she had this secret baby named Renee and gave her up for adoption, and the baby was just out in the world somewhere. She talked about that, how she would not do that. She would not keep a baby from its father. So she basically said that that's not true. Okay, cool. And look, even if it is true, let's say Janet really did have a baby. That baby old now. Ain't nothing we can do. Hey, ain't nothing we can do. But she said it, and that we're going to take Janet for what she said. She also talked to us and walked us through her second relationship with Renee. That's her ex-husband as well. Now, the thing about Renee, and the good thing, the beneficial thing about how all this came together, Renee is a filmmaker. So Renee for years would be shooting behind the scenes footage of Janet from touring, rehearsals, on movie sets, video shoots, at home with her family and friends. All of these moments, he had that. And they were able to use it for the documentary. So that just really added to that. It really took it to the next level, because it wasn't just her speaking and them showing stock videos and clips from YouTube that people might have pulled up and some old pictures from Getty Images. No, this was a behind the scenes look. So again, shout out to Renee. Now, I don't know about y'all, but child, I was getting so emotional watching this. I was so in my feelings about it. The nostalgia, just the music, the whole thing just had me, I was tearing up. And it wasn't even emotional like that, but I be crying. So I be crying. I wasn't boo-hooing, but it had me in my feelings. Okay, back to the recap. They walked us through behind the scenes with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Now, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, we know who they are. Superstar legends in producing, production, music. If you talk about some history makers, we gonna mention Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, y'all. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis was producing the hell out them Janet Jackson albums. You understand me? Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, with just talking about Janet Jackson alone, were responsible for some of the biggest and the best songs that she ever came out with. So let's just say that up top. If we talking about just stellar music production, y'all. Jimmy Jam, I just can't. I can't. But we went through that. They had concert footage when she was performing Rhythm Nation, child, you know was doing the dance moves. And let me say this, take another pause. One thing I love about Janet Jackson, and one thing that was so magical about her era and that reign that she had, and this kind of stopped with her, especially with videos and music, there was specific choreography that went along with songs. There was choreography in videos, so you remember the video more specifically, and you just automatically learned the dance moves and did it every time you hear the song. To the point where if you hear it now, you still know the choreo. I think Janet was the last artist to kind of do that. I can't think of any artist after her where if you think about their songs, their specific dance routines. Because you know for a fact, if you hear Miss You Much, If, Rhythm Nation, All Right, Pleasure Principle, I Get So Lonely, you hear all of these Janet songs, you know the dance moves. And when they come on, if you ain't hitting them, I don't trust you. If you not hitting them dance moves when them songs come on, we ain't the same. If you ain't doing that little shuffle to I Get So Lonely and Can't Let Just Anybody Hold Me, you ain't doing that. The pump, the hip shake and the pump with the cake pushing the jacket back behind her. I just don't want to, I can't party or hang out with you. But that's one thing that made this documentary more impactful for me. Because when they were doing the songs and the music came on, it just took me back to that place. They talked through her movie career. They had Regina King speaking. They had Tyler Perry. Because y'all know Janet gonna do some black movies now. You know Janet Demeter Joe gonna do some black film. Poetic Justice with Tupac. There was always some chitter chatter about the relationship or the way they were dealing with each other on set. Regina King kind of spoke to that as well. Tyler Perry talked about how she was on Why Did I Get Married? So they just had a lot of people talking and speaking to Janet's career. We also heard from Jermaine Dupree. Now, this was one of the aspects that was kind of blowing up on social media. Jermaine Dupree, as you know, him and Janet Jackson were together for they're a long time, maybe like 7 years, I think it was. They broke up. Jermaine basically was cheating on Janet. Now, I made a tweet that says something to the effect of, next week in therapy, I'm going to talk about Janet Jackson getting cheated on and what that means for the rest of us. Now, I know just because a superstar gets cheated on, that does not mean everybody going to get cheated on. I made that point to say, if people going to cheat or people are unhappy in a relationship or people aren't disciplined or people going to do what they're going to do, they're going to do what they're going to do regardless of who you are and what you do. Yes, there's certain things that contribute to can contribute to an unhappy home. But you can literally have six-pack, be a superstar, millionaire, want all of these kids, date you when you unattractive, okay, because we're going to talk about it. Be short, will be with a short man. You can be doing all of these things, cooking and cleaning, and you still might get cheated on. It don't matter. So just keep living your life and just doing your best. But that kind of blew up and people was getting at Jermaine. She also talked about Justin Timberlake in the Super Bowl. In case you forgot, Janet Jackson was a part of or was the headliner for the Super Bowl halftime show. Forget what year it was. Justin Timberlake was a special guest. Somehow, some way during the performance, her boobie popped out. That thing came out only for a couple seconds. That essentially tanked. Well, I won't say tanked. It slightly derailed Janet's career. She got banned from certain things. She was disinvited to certain things. She was on the outs because of that moment. And people were always wondering why she was the only one getting backlash. They talked about that. She basically said we should just move on and forgive Justin. Okay, sure. Like at this point, I feel like if you weren't specifically of that generation and around, you just don't remember that even happened. So I think it's everybody can move on from it, but it was nice to hear her finally speak. Overall, I loved the documentary. I walked through the highlights. I'm not going to take us through the entire thing, but we do need to put some respect on Janet Jackson's name. So a couple stats. One, Janet Jackson is the only artist in history to have 7 top 5 singles on one album. That was Rhythm Nation 1814. When I tell y'all back in the day, and I feel Black News listener and you weren't necessarily around during that time, let me kind of say this. An artist could work one album for about 3 years. Janet Jackson literally had stuff coming out on that album and was working at concerts, dropping singles, videos, working each single for months at a time. To the point where you could work an album for 3 whole years. If you look at Michael Jackson, Michael worked Thriller and Bad for years at a time. That Bad tour was like 3 years long. To the point where he went on tour, paused, took a break, and then started the tour back all over again. So Janet was this. She also had, let me tell y'all the number one album Janet Jackson had. I'm talking about back to back. Janet had Control was the number one album. Rhythm Nation 1814 number one. Janet was number one. The Velvet Rope was number one. All For You was number one. Back to back. That was from 1986 to 2001. And before I forget, they also talked about her moment with Michael during the Scream video shoot. Now, we see that video and we were like, man, that looked like they came together, reunited. Well, apparently, they were only together during one scene where they did the joint choreography. But besides that, they taped differently. They were on set at two different times. Janet, she actually didn't like the way that it went and how that whole thing went down, which is nice to have it behind the scenes. It ain't nice for that situation, but it was like, oh, shoot, okay, that's how it was. Okay, moving on. Now, we talk about the biggest artist of all time, the biggest female artist of all time, legendary status, queens, and all this other stuff. But one thing watching this and just listening and remembering Janet in real time, Janet was hands down one of the biggest. And a lot of people, now I love me some Beyonce. Y'all know I love me some Beyonce. But when you talk about impact and reach as far as just like being on top, yo, Janet was out of here. Janet was huge. She was a freaking huge star and one of the biggest. I think I read somewhere that they were ranking pop stars. They had Madonna first and Janet number two. Which, listen, both of them, if you just had to be there. And having been in both eras where I've seen Janet and I've seen Beyonce and I've seen that generation and this generation, I'm going to have to go with Janet. Just as far as massive appeal. But we can debate that all day. We don't even have to compare. I don't necessarily want to do that. But I do know that I'm so happy that we got to just have this, just something from Janet. Because, she rarely comes out. She rarely speaks. Hell, she didn't even talk about her last relationship. We know she got a son, but we didn't really hear much about him. But I'm happy that she gave this to us because, again, sometimes you just forget who people are and legacy matters. So with that, what I'm going to do, I am on a Janet Jackson tear. I'm listening to the songs. I'm watching the videos. I'm watching the YouTube live shows where people got the bootleg tape up from when they recorded it with the big box video camera up in the nosebleeds. I'm watching all of this because I have always loved Janet. I will continue to love Janet, and I'm going to love Janet. What did y'all think about the documentary? What did y'all think about it? Did you watch? Did you enjoy? And if you watched it and didn't really know much about Janet, I'll say this. Listen to Janet Jackson songs and really like jam out to them. My favorites, I got favorites from Janet on all of those albums. Rhythm Nation and Janet was, hell, Velvet Rope, all of it was a bomb, man. It was just a bomb. Oh, I'm obsessed. But let me know what y'all think. Do you feel like you got what you wanted from this documentary? Did you learn something? Was this some new information that you just didn't know about? Were you of the generation of Janet Jackson? Were you not? Have you ever been to a Janet Jackson concert? I saw Janet at Madison Square Garden sometimes in the 2000s. It was one of the best concerts I've ever seen in my life. I'm talking about, y'all, if she ever go back on tour, and yes, Janet is 55 years old, but age ain't number the number. Please go to one of her performances. You won't regret it. Let me know your thoughts. Hit me up on social media at Kennelia. Rihanna, aka Bad Gal Riri, announced her pregnancy today on social media, y'all. And by today, I mean when I'm recording this episode, that's when it came out. But her and A$AP Rocky, because y'all know she been dating A$AP, they announced that they will be expecting or will be having a child. And technically, they did not say this. They just posted a picture. Rihanna had a pink bubble coat on with her stomach out, jewels, makeup done up. Okay, Fenty Beauty on point. Okay, hair on point. And, it was just a beautiful picture and a beautiful moment. And, it sparked a lot of conversation. Of course, many, many well wishes. I'm happy for her. I know just hearing interviews and seeing her over the years, starting a family is something that she really wanted to do. Y'all remember, or if y'all can think back, she has like a goddaughter or a niece. I think the girl's name is Majesty. The little girl, she's been active in her life for years. So we all know Rihanna wants children. So this is a nice addition to her legacy. Because at this point, she pretty much, what else can you do? Right? You make all of the albums. You sell all of the albums. You sell Fenty Beauty, Savage Fenty. She is now billionaire status. What else is left but to start a family? So this is great for her. I will say this though, y'all ain't never getting that album. Okay, that album y'all be stressing her about, y'all ain't getting them songs. Okay, y'all can forget about it. Y'all can forget it. She gonna be busy running around after that baby, having a good old time, renting bounce houses for birthday parties. She is not thinking about y'all and gonna be in the studio making new music. Now, maybe the baby might spark something in her to want to create. But at this point, it seems like Rihanna, or Rihanna, as she pronounces it correctly, Rihanna is about that legacy and building a life. So shout out to her and A$AP Rocky. What's also funny are the dudes on Instagram, social media, Facebook, Twitter, like seeming sad that she got pregnant by A$AP. Like they actually had a chance with Rihanna. Like, sorry, back down. Okay? Back down. Hey, man. Hey. She didn't know you, brother. She didn't know you. But, you know what? I can't really hate. Because when Idris Elba announced that he was getting married the second time, your girl was heartbroken. I was really defeated. I was so defeated. Not that I actually know him or had a chance or was even going to be in the vicinity of him. But, it's just that there's something about it where you be like, dang it. But shout out to his wife. She seems like a wonderful, beautiful woman. Congratulations to them. It's been some time since they've been married, but still. For y'all who kind of salty about A$AP and Rihanna, I slightly feel your pain. Not really, but, whatever. Anywho, let me know what you guys think. Were you surprised? Did you expect this? Her and A$AP, they've been dating for what seems to be like since sometime in 2020. So this is not a new relationship. And were you expecting this? Were you expecting her to start a family with him? He seems pretty happy about it as well. Let me know your thoughts. What y'all think? Happy, sad, surprised? Were you looking forward to that new music? Or were you like me? I don't really care. I just want her to live her life and continue with that legacy. Let me know. Hit me up on social media at Kennelia with your thoughts. Let's get into honorable mention. This past week, we lost another person in the public light, another media personality, former Miss USA 2019, Chesley Chris, passed away, died by suicide, jumped from a New York City apartment building to her death. She was only 30 years old. Y'all, it's something going on. Yes, that's obvious. Yes, we know it. Yes, we're seeing it more and more every day, but I'm saying it out loud because maybe somebody can offer some insight about what is going on. We are losing a lot of people to suicide. And yes, people have always taken their own lives, unfortunately. Yes, people go through darkness all the time. Yes, but still, it just feels like, and again, maybe y'all can tell me if it's something otherwise. Maybe I'm just seeing things differently, but it's something going on. Maybe it's the effects of the pandemic, and this is now the end result, or what's starting to be the result of that, because the pandemic was traumatizing and it was hard on a lot of people. That isolation period, a lot of people didn't take that well. Some people did. Some people got to rest and recharge, but some people, they're not well alone. And the damage of that and being sidelined had long-term effects. But in this case, just so tragic. This is so tragic Again, Miss USA 2019 correspondent, attorney, just fitting into fitness. She was a former track and field athlete. Stuff like this you just don't expect to hear. Because again, as people, we look at stuff on the outside and we assume that everything is okay. But that phrase, check on your strong friends, check on your creative friends, check on your smiling friends. Hell, check on all your friends. That remains true because literally this is proof that you never know what people are going through. We talked about this last week on Black News, and I wasn't expecting for us to talk about this again, but this wonderful woman lost her life, ended her own life because of something that she was dealing with. And we, as the Black news community, don't want this to be a trickle down with even people we don't know, but the people that we do know, or we do know virtually or in this communal space. So with that said, y'all, if you are feeling down, depressed, just like there's no hope, talk to somebody. It's easier said than done. Yes, it's not easy to call somebody and be like, hey, I'm feeling down. But please don't. It's easier to make a decision when you're out of the darkness and try and don't let the darkness take you down. Again, easier said than done, but there's always somebody in y'all corner. If you or anybody you know is feeling like they can't go on, they're talking about suicide, having suicidal thoughts, there are hotlines, there are numbers, resources. The one we all know is the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. The number is 800-273-8255, 800-273-8255, or just hit somebody up. It's getting crazy and something is going on, and let us do whatever we can to shift and turn the tide. I love y'all. I'm praying for all of y'all, even though I don't know y'all, and we got to figure something out. Hit me up on social media if you have thoughts around this, or if you just want to share your stories, or just connect. Hit me up. That's it for this week's episode of Black News, y'all. Thanks again. Thank you. And thank you again so much for sticking with us, supporting the podcast, liking and subscribing on all apps where podcasts can be heard, rating 5 stars, and leaving a comment. It helps more than you know, so I really, really appreciate it. And keep sharing Black News with all of your friends and family. Be sure to hit me up on social media if you got ideas for topics. Or just hit me up in general to let me know you've been listening. Let me know your thoughts. I'm at Kennelia on all platforms across the board. That's at Kennelia, like Kenny and Ophelia. Also check my website. I got some shows coming up in Los Angeles County. Hopefully get on the road soon. But for now, if you're in the LA area, hit me up. Check Kennelia.com for show dates and details. And as always, thanks again so much, guys. I hope you have a fantastic week. Keep supporting, keep growing, keep building, keep staying safe, and keep staying healthy. As always, again, I'll see you back here next time, same place. Bye.